tools that you can have with you in your life that give you the power to make better choices, and not from a place of force, not from a place of constantly needing to use this willpower, but more so from a place of ease, from a place of effortlessness. What if I told you that overcoming sugar addiction could actually be effortless, meaning you actually are happy to give it up? Sugar addiction, in my experience, is an intense addiction. You made a pact, right? The hidden sugar, this is the biggest problem, the hidden sugar. Having it feel kind of effortless and permanent. Let's focus on the why more than the what, because the why will teach you about yourself. It will show you what is really behind this never-ending cycle of addiction with sugar. Because everyone's got their story, everyone's got their patterns and their programming. Blame isn't really helpful. Is that the knowledge and the information is useless without application. It's a very different approach that most people take to overcoming sugar addiction. People oftentimes just say quit. Once you see that sugar is in everything, you might just start thinking, this is weird, this is strange. And that's true, it is strange. Hello, good day, good evening, whatever time it is where you are right now. Welcome to another episode of the Self-Mastery Podcast, where we're talking about health, we're talking about happiness and how we can cultivate these in our lives long term. Very simple and effective ways. Not trying to overcomplicate things here, trying to keep it simple, effective, practical, insightful. You know what I'm saying? But long-term change is what we're all about. It's what this is all about, this channel, this podcast, this message, these videos. They're all about cultivating long-term results, right? So today we're going to talk about sugar addiction. Long-term results with sugar addiction. How many of you have caned the addiction to sugar? Long-term, and I'm talking at least 5 years. I'm talking at least, maybe at least 1 year. That's a big one to find in our world today. Someone that hasn't had refined sugar or added sugars, synthetic sugars, including agave syrup, including, obviously like the white sugar and the aspartame, however you pronounce it, and all of these other things, right? Maybe even stevia. How many of you have gone a year at least without such a substance, without such an addictive substance? The chances are that number is low, but I'd love to know, in fact. So why don't you let us know in the comments? Start engaging with this episode already. Let's talk about sugar addiction. Let's go in. And let me share with you some really insightful tips. Really insightful tips that I think might help you in your journey. Now, I coach people with emotional eating habits, people that binge eat, people that eat a lot of sugar. But it's not just sugar, cheese is a big one. That's one that I've been addicted to. And bear in mind, I help people because I've been there. So I help people with this stuff, and there are some key elements to that journey of healing, that journey of transformation. There are some key elements to really consider, to really come to know and equip tools that you can have with you in your life that give you the power to make better choices, and not from a place of force, not from a place of constantly needing to use this willpower, but more so from a place of ease, from a place of effortlessness. What if I told you that overcoming sugar addiction could actually be effortless, meaning you actually are happy to give it up, at least to give it up in the way that you've been consuming it, right? What if I could tell you that can be possible in a joyous way, in a way that's not miserable, in a way that doesn't feel like you're fighting cravings all day long, right? In a way where you can walk into the shop and you can go down the aisle where all the shiny, colourful sweets and chocolates and confectionaries are, and you're not even interested one little bit. How about that? If that's something you're interested in, send me a direct message via Instagram. You can find me, Usman Ali Yoga. Reach out to me, or if you listen to this podcast, I'll even put my WhatsApp details in the show notes, and you can contact me directly through WhatsApp. You can send me a message. We'll book a free call, we'll talk, you know what I'm saying? We'll just have a conversation, and we'll do what the doctor doesn't do. And we'll talk about you, we'll talk about your life, we'll see what's going on, right? Because this stuff affects us. This stuff is more serious than I think a lot of us are able to consider, than the world is currently considering. It's funny, sugar addiction, in my experience, is an intense addiction. It is so intense, but it would still be classed as some kind of soft addiction, right? Because it's not heroin, right? But I'll tell you this, from my experience, and if you've experienced sugar addiction too, it is very close. It can get to a point of hellishness. It can get to a point of hellishness where it literally feels like you can't help yourself. You don't know how to help yourself. Maybe you don't even want to help yourself, right? Which is a whole other kettle of fish. Self-sabotage. Comment below if you've had a history with self-sabotage, right? And if you're interested, if you want to transform, right? You want to overcome this, then comment something, hold yourself accountable, right? Put a post there. Put a comment and say, I choose better ways. I choose a better way. Because then everyone gets to see that comment. You made a pact, right? Now, making these decisions to quit a substance or to take space from a substance, making these decisions, it takes a moment to make that decision, but the time it takes to making that decision can be a very long time. And so there is some work to be done. There is some clarity to be made. There are some feelings to be felt, right? There are some thoughts and patterns to become aware of before we even think about removing the sugar. So this is where my approach is different to most approaches. I'm not the only person in the world doing it this way. The world is changing in a way that it's becoming more mindful of the process, right? Because there's no denying it. If you drop sugar, instantly you just drop it. Apart from a few anomalies, a few rare cases, it will creep back violently. It will creep back into your life violently if you just cut it and you say, F this, I'm done, I've had enough, boom, and you just get rid of it. And then what happens? It's someone's birthday, it's a wedding, Special celebration. It's your birthday. Happy birthday. Imagine it was actually your birthday right now. Comment if it's your birthday. I mean, if this video's out on the internet, then I guess it's always on someone's birthday. There we go. Special occasion comes along. You've caned sugar. You've took it out. Few months down the line, few weeks down the line, it's a special occasion and you feel rude if you don't have it, or you feel wrong if you don't have it, and so you have a little bit. You have a little bit, and then a little bit turns to more, and that turns into a fantasy. Then that turns into, I wonder what else I can have. Maybe I can set up some situation tonight and I can get all comfy and I can eat this thing or those things, or that stuff, this concoction, whatever it might be, ice cream, cookies, chocolate, hot chocolate, peanut butter. I've been there plenty, guys. I've been out of control. I've been possessed by candida, fully taken over from the inside and the upside. I'm in a much better place now. I haven't had refined sugar for, I actually can't remember. Wow, it's beautiful. I can't remember. And that's refined sugar, that's white sugar, that's chocolate, it's even at the point now where I'm not even having sugar, I don't want it, that's in the products. The hidden sugar, this is the biggest problem, the hidden sugar. The hidden sugar is something to keep your eyes peeled for. It's on the back of every product if you look on the ingredients. This is a tip that's going to help you tremendously. Look, if you're wanting to get sugar out of your diet, if you want to stop consuming refined sugar, and let me make this clear for people, let me make something clear. When I say sugar, if I was talking about fruit, I wouldn't use the word sugar. I wouldn't use the word sugar. Fruit is sweet because it's supposed to be. Sugar, what I mean by sugar is refined white sugar. To be honest, that includes brown sugar too. That includes agave syrup. That includes organic cane sugar, coconut sugar. That includes it all. It's all addictive. Right, it's all addictive. Some of it more than others, definitely. But all of those things I just mentioned there, and there's a few more, they're addictive. And we have addictive relationships with them. So I'm referring to those sugars, just to make that clear. Now, what was I getting at before I mentioned that? When we look at ingredients, nice recovery there, Usman. When we look at ingredients, if you want to get sugar out of your consumption, if you want to stop consuming that addictive drug, notice that it's snuck into all of the products. Tomato sauce, it might be even like a tin of beans, mayonnaise, even some breads, roasted peanuts, peanut butter. There's so many products, and sugars in there, instant noodles. There's so many products. Sugar is just in there. Now, that makes us want to eat more. It just makes us want to eat more of everything, especially sugar, but everything, and especially other carbohydrates, particularly the white ones. White bread, white pasta, white rice, right? Spaghetti, noodles. Makes us want to eat more of these things. Never mind, more chocolate, more cookies. That's like extreme, right? But it happens. Makes us want to eat more of that stuff. And so notice that it's on the back of the tin. Notice that it's on the back of the packet, and just think, do I want to consume this thing where This has literally been snuck in. It's sneaky. Now, doesn't that say something? Doesn't that make you feel a little bit like, hold up, what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do to us? What are you trying to do to me? I'm not going to buy into this. I'm not going to fall for this. The sugar is in there, not for taste. In a lot of things, it's not even for taste. You don't know that it's sweet until you've stopped having sugar for a few weeks, and then your tongue is sensitized, resensitized, which is one thing that will happen if you overcome sugar addiction. You'll start to taste it in places it shouldn't be, and it's strange, to say the least. It's strange to say the least. So that's one tip right there. Check out the label and just put some thought into what's going on. Just put some thought into how corporations are getting people to have very big appetites, to eat more, consume more, to buy more. Just think about that. Now, when we're overcoming sugar addiction, I want to go into this is an episode that, you know, I like to do long episodes. Maybe I'll do some shorter videos. Let me know in the comments if this stuff's too long. But I like to go in, and I like to talk about steps. I like to talk about details. I like to go in depth. And so that's what we're going to do here. Awareness of where the sugar is. This is a great step, and these steps are in no particular order. They're just tips. If you're interested in some kind of structured path to overcoming sugar addiction, I've actually been considering making a course, making a training where we can overcome sugar addiction in less than 30 days without having to use tons of willpower, without having to use tons of discipline. Having it feel kind of effortless and permanent, long lasting. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Comments. And also let me know if this is helpful for you. Now, here's something I want to offer you all. In any of these situations in our lives where we find ourselves out of control, consuming in a way that is automatic, programmed, hard to stop, possessing, it's really important to consider the why more than the what. Now, what do I mean by that? We're talking about sugar addiction here, but it's not about sugar. First thing that I told you was that it's there and it's sneaked into everything. So in that case, it is about sugar, because sugar is a chemically addictive substance. It's made in labs. It's chemically addictive. It affects your chemistry, which makes you want more. So actually having it is something that leads to wanting more of it. Different story with cheese though. It's not as, it doesn't crave itself as much as sugar. Now, when we go one step deeper, however, because that's on the surface, you might see it on the back of on the product, but you might think, I don't care, I'm going to have it anyway. Or you might know that it's not good for you in so many ways. You might have the science, you might have all the ideas and the knowledge of why sugar is not to be consumed by a human being. Refined sugar should not be consumed by human beings or any mammal, I'd say. It's for the insects. And we ain't insects. When we eat it a lot, we become insect-like. Don't stop like an ant. Can't rest. Boom, boom, boom. Always got to be doing. Let's focus on the why more than the what. What you're addicted to. What you're addicted to is nowhere near as important as why you're addicted. or why you're experiencing addiction. So I just want you to become open. This tip is become open to the idea that there are reasons deeper for your behavior. There are reasons deeper than logic. I mean, it is very logical once you break it down. Emotions are stronger than rationale when it comes to making choices. They drive us harder and more intensely towards an outcome. And so emotions and feelings are a huge part of this. And those are directly connected to your thoughts. So what thoughts are you having throughout the day? This is the second tip that I'm going to offer for you guys. Notice the why and pay attention to the why more than the what. Because the why will teach you about yourself. It will show you what is really behind this never-ending cycle of addiction with sugar and food in general. So, awareness is power. You know, when we become aware of our mental chatter, our mental dialogue around these foods, around these substances, before, during and after, this is something I would recommend for you to do. Pay attention to your mental dialogue before, during and after eating that substance. You might be experiencing thoughts and feelings of guilt, shame, and then during, you might enjoy the first little bit, you get your emotional hit, and then you actually just start eating it automatically and unconsciously, and then you start feeling sick, guilty, ashamed again, right? This is usually how the pattern goes. It's super important, however, for you to become more aware of your own personal mental dialogue around these feelings. If you're experiencing these feelings, then yes, you have something very much in common with most people in the world dealing with the issue of sugar and food addiction. But your internal dialogue is in its own particular voice, and you have your own relationship with that internal dialogue. And so it's super important for you to become aware of your own voice within the head, your own dialogue, what goes on in the mind, right? Meditation is an extremely powerful practice to cultivate awareness of the thoughts that are going on in your mind. You can observe them instead of being consumed or ruled by them. And in doing so, you're able to then notice the patterns that play out, the truth of really what's going on. It's really powerful, and there's nothing like having the experience of it. You hear people talking about meditation all over now, which is actually amazing. But what would be even better is more people meditating, right? You've got a lot of us talking about meditation. I speak about meditation on some of these videos. It's something that I'm trying to kind of sell in a way. That at least that's been the vibration that I've been coming from. Maybe that's been limiting me. But it's like, there's nothing like the experience of really noticing the nature of your own mind and self, and really being one step or multiple steps ahead of it, to the point where it no longer rules you. And that can only be attained through cultivating the awareness. This is where we reach the end of being intellectual. This is where we reach the end of intellectualizing this puzzle of sugar addiction. Right? I want you to take that on board also. Tip number 3. It's a combined tip of 2 parts. Number 1, number 3, part 1. Reframe this whole issue or problem of sugar addiction as a puzzle. It's a puzzle. When we were kids, we loved to do puzzles. Maybe right now you still love to do puzzles. It's playful. Don't take it too seriously to start thinking that you're going to end your own life. Been there too. You know what I'm saying? I'm not taking the severity or seriousness away from such a place. Been there too. And that's why I'm saying it. You don't need to let it get that bad. You don't need to let it get that bad. So, 3-part 1 is reframe this as a puzzle. This is a puzzle that we're solving together, okay? And 3.2 is that, and let me just take a deep breath and regain flow. I hope you can be patient and maybe do the same. Just take a big, nice, deep breath. And there we go. The memory comes back. Boom. Thank you. 3-part 2. It's not about intellectualizing anymore. You might have got all the knowledge, you might have read the books, you might know the techniques, but if you're not doing it, if you're not doing the practice, if you're not taking action, if you're not actually writing down your internal dialogue before, during and after eating sugar, in this case, sugary products that aren't fruit, that aren't natural, then you're not going to get the best results. You're not going to get long-term results. You've got to do the work. And some of that work feels kind of like being in school. Some of it kind of does. But that's simply just putting pen to paper. And it's really powerful putting pen to paper, because the thoughts in our minds are so abstract. There's oftentimes details underneath the surface of the most shallow thoughts. There's so many elements, little flavors underneath. When you start putting pen to paper, wow, those things come out in the moment. You start to see parts of yourself that you weren't aware of. Let me give you an example. I've applied these tips and steps that I'm giving you right now to other food addictions, right? So this is useful for sugar, but it's also useful for all other food addictions, really. And I've applied it with cheese. I've applied it with what else have I been addicted to? Peanut butter. I've applied it to white sugar as well, of course, in the past. I've applied it to hidden sugar products, comfort foods like instant noodles. That's one that I actually did recently. And so let me tell you what I've done there. Let me tell you what goes on. You see, or let me give you a bit more insight into my story. Please bear with me. I'm distracted by the beautiful sky outside, and as I'm looking at it, the train of thought starts to drift. So I'll stay here with you guys. I allowed myself to consume the things that I was craving. I allowed myself to consume them. Instead of trying to eliminate them and eradicate them instantly, I allowed myself. Now, why is this so powerful? Because not only did I allow myself to give in, right? But I also paid very close attention to the thoughts that was going on in my mind at the time. The voice that convinces me not to eat the thing, the voice that convinces me to eat the thing. Awareness of the feelings that I was experiencing at that time that might have been leading to a form of emotional hunger that's trying to be fulfilled through food. And I actually started to notice, this came out on the paper, that a lot of the comfort foods I was going to, in this case instant noodles. Kind of embarrassing to say that, but there's a whole story behind why I even was doing that, why I was even craving that food. It's actually kind of deep. I've been healing a health condition of my own, ulcerative colitis, and the large intestine. It's healing up a lot. It's come such a long way, but a few weeks ago I was in such a bad state that I just wanted to be comforted. I just wanted to be comforted and to rest, and so I was eating all the comfort foods that I wanted, apart from sugar, because that would have made the condition so much worse. I mean pure sugar products like sweets. So I was having instant noodles and I was letting myself, I was paying very close attention to the internal dialogue, the feelings I was experiencing, and also what it was reminding me of. I noticed when I was putting pen to paper that instant noodles were very nostalgic for me. They reminded me of times where I would wake up on the weekend and me and my older brother, he's a couple years older than me, we'd be playing Sega Mega Drive in the morning, we'd be playing Sonic, I'd be feeling so good. It's a day off school, it's amazing, it's, family time, we're all home, we're playing games together, me and my brother, bonding, do you know what I mean? I always wanted to be close to my brother, always wanted to be close, I always have wanted to be, and that hasn't always been delivered. When we were children, there was a lot of pain. At least I experienced a lot of pain. That's my part of the story, my half of it. And so I really wanted to be close to him. And so these instant noodles are like a portal back in time. Take me to an emotional place where I feel like I'm close to my brother. It's a nice comfy day off. The sun's shining. We're playing Sonic the Hedgehog on Sega Mega Drive in the morning and we haven't even brushed our teeth yet. This is how it was sometimes on the weekends, and it's another topic to go into, but we can't blame. This is one thing I'm trying to do, is let go of blame and resentment, because everyone's got their story, everyone's got their patterns and their programming. Blame isn't really helpful. And so another reason why I was consuming instant noodles, this is another thing I discovered. By the way, I'm sharing all of this to emphasize the importance of doing the work, doing the actual work, implementing the techniques, these steps that I'm giving you, these tips that I'm giving you to overcome your sugar addiction, actually applying them to your life. That is the most important part in all of this, is that the knowledge and the information is useless without application. So consume this content, but also make a vow that you're going to take action, at least some action, right? At least some action. Maybe that action's just reaching out to me. Maybe that action's just booking a free call with me. What have you got to lose? So I started to uncover these beautiful intricacies of my own mind and how it works and how these desires are programmed. And another nostalgia was that my mum used to make instant noodles for us. She'd do fish fingers as well. This was like kid food when we were kids, and she'd just be making something up for us. 4 kids we were. She did a lot of work. She's done so much for us. Bless. Instant noodles with peas in. Sounds like a mad combination, but I wouldn't recommend it. And fish fingers. Now, this was super comforting for me. This was extremely comforting. This reminded me of being at home with my mum. She's dishing up the food for us, and my sister and my brother, and we're together, and it's just comfy. It's just comforting, right? And so I allowed myself to go through this. I allowed myself to eat the instant noodles, even to the point where I didn't want them anymore. And this is what you'll experience if you work with me, or if you do this in a proper, systemic, organized, strategic way. I didn't want them anymore by the time a couple of weeks had passed. I'd been eating them for the comfort, and then eventually it was just like, right, I can see this now. I can see why I'm doing it. I don't actually want to do it anymore, because when I finish it and eating the food, I end up starting feeling like my English is getting all messed up right now. I don't know why I can't speak. My throat would become very itchy. I'd start producing more mucus from the throat and from the nose. The nose would start to drip a little bit. I'd really just enjoy the noodles for the first couple bites, and then, or maybe even just the smell of them. And then I kind of just wasn't really enjoying it. I was just consuming it because I felt like I was going to waste it, or because I've started it, I might as well finish it. I've made it. So I hope you can understand that this is the power of this approach. It's a very different approach that most people take to overcoming sugar addiction. People oftentimes just say quit. And I've oftentimes led 10-day challenges where it's been 10 days with no sugar, and bless, some people went very silent in that group, and I believe that they made it 2 days in and then just couldn't help it. Because that's not the approach. That's not the most effective approach. Not in my experience, now that I've applied it to myself, but also not in helping other people. So let's do a little summary before we finish. Sugar addiction. The why matters more than the what. Why is it that you're consuming this product? Why is it that you keep going back to it? What is it really serving for you? Consider and open your mind to different aspects of choice making that lie much deeper than the surface, that there are many scientific studies to back up, but it's still too much for the average person who thinks it's a bit woo-woo, thinks it's a bit fluffy to say that emotions make us make choices. Well, this is the truth, guys, and you either accept it now or you don't. But I say, please open your mind to the fact that you're making choices through emotion as a result of stress, for example, which is a whole other kettle of fish, because stress isn't just some term that we can use to generalize disruptions in homeostasis, right? This is what stress is. Whole of a kettle of fish. Open your mind to the fact that there are emotions driving the choices that you are making that are sabotaging your health and happiness. Okay? Number 3, third point I want to share and finish on in this summary is that awareness is power. Don't focus on quitting the substance straight away. Focus on creating more and more awareness on why you're consuming it. Very similar to the first point, but this time apply the knowledge, apply the tips that I've given you. Put pen to paper. Right, there is a massive tip that could be transformational once you realize some of the things about yourself and why you're doing this. Could be transformational because you realize, what? That's happening? Or what? I think like this and then I think like that, and it's almost as if there's like 3 or 4 people inside of me. Yeah, then you start to realize the truth about what you are or what you've become. You start to notice the finer details of yourself, right? To know yourself is absolutely key in this. And the final tip is actually the first one that we started with. It's start checking your labels. Start checking the labels and start thinking and considering that there is a bit of an agenda going on. There is a bit of a business strategy behind all of this, right? The fact that you walk down the aisle with all the sugary stuff on, and the sugary stuff's right there when you walk in the shop. It's like they position it right there, straight away, to activate your inner child that gets all excited by all the colours and the shiny wrappers, shiny packaging. Look at the labels of things like tins of beans, ketchup, tomato sauce, tinned fruit. Start looking at the ingredients in ready meals, instant noodles, flavoured water, right? Once you see that sugar is in everything, you might just start thinking, this is weird, this is strange. And that's true, it is strange. And so you might then find it a bit creepy. That might make you want to start not buying those products anymore, and instead start choosing the products that are more supportive of human life and life itself. So the final thing I want to finish on is this. There's a concept that came across recently, that our vote is in our wallet, our vote is in the purse, it's the bank card, it's where we put our money, that's our vote. I've never really been into so much politics. I've always been into this kind of stuff, making change from within, making personal change and therefore collective change. And this is what I want to invite you guys to do, right? Once you start caning the sugar addiction long term for good, I want you to start buying the products that are more supportive of life. Right? I want you to start buying the products that aren't genetically modified, the ones that are compatible with the human DNA. That means grapes that still have seeds inside. Once you start realizing what the food industry is doing, you might go through many emotions. If you work with me personally, one-to-one, you might go through many emotions. If you're doing this journey on your own, same thing. The industry, it doesn't care. Or at least it provides us with what we ask for, whether it's good for us or not. And so this is the thing. The genetically modified foods, the low quality foods, the stuff that's just been cultivated in lowest quality soil, the animals that have been fed the lowest quality food in the lowest quality conditions, but in the highest profit. These aren't healthful. These substances, these foods, these products aren't good for the human organism. Not good for the planet. And so once you start making this change, you start opening your eyes a little bit more to what's going on. You might just want to start buying healthier stuff to support health on Earth. To support health on Earth. That doesn't mean being a vegan. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is buying higher quality products, organic if you can, right? Paying attention to that, not buying you know what it is? I've got something against seedless grapes. I apologize, but I just can't. You know, I used to eat them quite a bit, and then once I stopped eating sugar, I tasted them and I thought, that's too sweet. That's not right. That's not real. That's not real. And so this is the thing. You have a salmon and another salmon. Both of them kind of look the same. One of them had eczema. One of them was malnourished and depleted. One of them doesn't have all of those beautiful high quality omega-3 fatty acids because it wasn't feeding on algae like the other one was, wild, caught in nature, right? Biodiversity. This one and this one, they might look the same, different price, different quality completely. This one, the one that was feeding on algae, is a completely different product, completely different quality of being than the one that was fed rubbish, right? Absolute rubbish, and was put in a tank with 50 other massive fish with a few inches in between them, right? So keep your eyes peeled. Keep your eyes peeled. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Really did. I hope you took something useful from this. Like I said, if these videos are too long, you prefer the shorter stuff, or if you'd like these videos, you want me to make more of them, or if you like both and you wouldn't mind and you kind of like a bit of variety like that, then let me know in the comments. If anything I've said has resonated with you, again, comment, like the video, like this episode of the podcast if you're listening in. Subscribe to the channel or subscribe to the podcast via Google Podcasts. Is it Google Podcasts? Apple Podcasts? I'm still getting used to promoting myself and promoting this platform and this channel. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Not gonna fake it that I know what I'm talking about completely. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can hit the notification bell, and that way you'll be notified when I release videos. I'm planning to release more YouTube videos. This is something that I want to get way more dedicated to. But before I do that, I'm working on something much bigger, and that is a course that is designed to help you transform your health physically and mentally for life, creating long-lasting change, which means you don't yo-yo up and down. You don't pick and drop addictions to food, sugar. You don't find yourself victim to the randomness of life where 1 minute you're in control, next minute you're not. 1 minute you're heavily addicted, next minute you're lean and clean. Do you know what I'm saying? To have long-lasting confidence that you can keep it up. So I'm developing a coaching program course around this. If you're interested in working with me directly, one-to-one, you can contact me via the contact link in the description or the show notes. I'll leave a link there for you so you can contact me directly. WhatsApp, I'll put my WhatsApp number in there on this podcast episode so you can contact me via WhatsApp directly if you're cool with that. And if you're interested in overcoming sugar addiction in less than 30 days, that's right, I challenge you, less than 30 days, long term, lasting, that's right, this is lasting change. I would love to challenge you to that. If that's something you're interested in too, get in touch, let me know, and I can go about making that happen. So much love. I'm really thankful for you tuning in. And one final thing I want to mention, in fact, I know I really take my time coming to the end of these things. I say I'm going to end and then I go on for 10 more minutes. This podcast is now completely independent. I mean, it always was completely independent. And so I actually spend money to keep these episodes live. And so I'm accepting donations, contributions of any kind. You can find a donate link in the description below. If you want to support me, you found some value from what I gave you. This was kind of like a free coaching call. You know what I mean? I mean, when I work with someone one-on-one, there's a lot more space for them to talk and share, and for us to go into that person's personal story and situation. But this is the stuff that I share in my coaching, and I'm just giving that out for free. You know, I don't know if that's good business or not. This is just me creating because I love to create and share, and because I love to share. And speaking a message that I think is very, very key for today's world. Absolutely necessary. Our health is our wealth. It's the only thing we have. Without our health, we're tired, almost less useful in many ways. I know that's kind of hard to hear, but it's true. We need energy to put these hands to work, to march these feet, right? So that's the end of today's episode. Let's wrap it up. Let's finish there. As always, I'm ever so thankful for you tuning in. Please share this episode with anyone you know that's struggling from sugar addiction. If you want to know more about my own personal story with sugar addiction, let me know, because it's really embarrassing and I'd love to share that. So much love, peace, and have an absolutely beautiful day, week, month, and life. Boom.